It's time for the Steve and Kyle podcast with Steve.
To give a quick rundown of just what I've seen since I've been here. Govey lights installed. Olaf
is out there.
Am I missing anything? Exterior wise, that's
got,
all I'm talking about.
We got porch pots.
What?
It's the pots on the porch.
Are they empty or?
No, my wife put a bunch of sticks in a bucket.
And Kyle.
Happy holidays, folks. Sticks in a bucket. I love how dumb we are. I'm sure that's something that's very trendy, whatever. Mm-hmm. I will not, because I'm going to do us all a favor, I will not refer to them ever around her as sticks in a bucket.
Now, here they are, two guys who are living in style, Steve and Kyle.
Forgot about our sticks in a bucket conversation.
Looked great.
Wasn't that like a DX thing from WWF back in the day? Like, sticks in a bucket, suck it.
Oh, no, I don't remember.
And they do the cross chop to the crotch.
I wouldn't be surprised, because anybody who watched 90s wrestling knows that it was just a matter of getting to the suck it symbol.
Yeah. Was late 90s wrestling all about the crotch chop? Maybe throw that on the poll.
Oh, man. What an era. What an era. I mean, you were involved in that. Not involved, but
yeah.
You were watching people. It's incredible to look at and think about the people who watched wrestling then, who are now probably like, what the hell was I doing? But it's so consumed a populace of people.
I look back fondly on that time.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, you were jumping around your college townhouse with your buddies.
Yeah.
Waiting for the hot chicks to, come
Walk
over
in.
at the worst possible time ever.
You might want to go back and listen to a year in review from like 2017 or something.
Yeah,
if you're not sure about that story.
That's an early one.
Speaking of year in review, we're going to have that coming out. What day is that going to be coming out? Like on
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have a two-part year in review from the Steve and Kyle podcast from the last year. So we'll have an episode that comes out on Tuesday, New Year's Eve, and then possibly one on Friday, the 3rd of January. So it might be a two-parter. We're still in the process of putting that together.
Yeah, it all depends on what gets past the censors. Or not the censors, but the windscreen, if you will, of you and I. Like, what is good? So, essentially, we're saying, did we have a good year? Mm-hmm. If we have one episode, maybe we got a down year. Right?
Yeah.
But if you hear two coming out, just know that we're really full of ourselves.
We think very, very highly of the content that we've put out over this last year or so. And it's funny because we have a document, like a shared document, where if we have something that we deem a funny or successful segment, we'll make a note of it on there and say, oh, we should think about this for year in review. And usually we keep up with that through maybe May. And then it grows cobwebs and we forget about it. Mm-hmm. So I just happened to pull that up, I think last week. Like, because we had been texting about something with, when are we going to do year in review? And I was like, I wonder what we have on the list. We have like 3 things on there.
Okay, so we didn't make it quite as far as years past.
One of them I adored.
Oh, good.
So much so that I went back and listened to it. Because I vaguely remembered the context of it.
Yeah.
But I went back and thought, what the heck were we talking about? Apparently I had some time because I never listened to this podcast.
No, and why would you?
I mean, I'm here. Right. I know what we talk about. I know what we talk about while we're talking about it. And then as soon as we turn off the mics and walk out that door, it's just purged out of my brain, out of my memory. But
which is the same thing at the side gig, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
It's your job. You're living through it. What purpose do you have to be like, I got to relive how funny I was a few hours ago? It just, one that comes off bad, and two, like, I don't know. It's different.
It's short term and long term. It's the short term. I need to know it while we're doing it, but then I don't need to keep that for anything. I don't need to retain it. So bloop, just right out into the garbage.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so we're in the process of putting together the year in review.
But maybe we should put in part of me was thinking about this because we've been doing this a long time now, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well over 8 years.
Yeah.
And we've lapsed some listeners. We've
more
gained some.
than we've gained.
And we always kind of recommend, hey, if you're trying to jump on the wagon, which obviously we encourage, we go back and listen to the year in review shows.
Yeah.
But part of me thinks now as we sit here talking about this, could we put together, and I'm thinking about this because this was a thing with Blue Sky, which is the newest, not the newest, but social media platform that
Liberal
is
Twitter, right?
pretty much, yeah, that's what it's being referred to as. That they would have, like when you would join, they'd say, hey, it's a starter pack, and you would click, and it would be a list of individuals. So
how to get up to speed.
Right,
type
on
thing.
certain topics, right? So, like, I went there, I looked for the Detroit Lions or sports and whatever it may be that I wanted. And you'd click and you could follow everybody on the list at once. You could individually choose, whatever.
Sure.
So maybe, do we need a Steve and Kyle starter pack where we do one episode that can be pinned, and it's not even us, we would record nothing. It would be a mishmash of sound where we would play.
How's that different from every other episode we do?
It's true. Or are we just a mishmash of sound? I'll set on the poll.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, hey, here's a 2 to 2.5 hour mega cut of the things that we still kind of reference.
Okay, so garage doors obviously is right up there. We
Yep.
talk more. We have more garage door chat than any podcast I've
Right.
ever heard.
So this would be different than the year in review. This would be hey, this is how you jump on essentially a moving race car that's going around the track. Now, granted, when I say race car, I'm talking, we've got 2 bald tires. One's very quickly deflating that is not bald. And then, like, one of our windows is just like a bag.
This is
taped
local
over.
track. This is not, we're not Talladega.
That's right. It's a dirt track.
Dirt track, maybe where our number is spray painted on the door.
Yes.
County fair.
Yeah.
Race car.
Yeah, and our neck brace and support has been 3D printed by us.
Right. Yeah.
Because we saw the cost of
Right.
like a Hans device.
Oh, they're very expensive.
And we thought, no, thank you.
No.
We'll go print a plastic one on our machine and put it together.
Yeah, which the machine's probably not big enough to print one, so we'll print it in pieces
That
and
have
then,
like dowels.
and then just glue it together. Yeah. So we are the local dirt track equivalent of a good podcast.
That's a clientele though, right? Like,
Yeah.
do we lean in?
I mean, we've talked about advertising in various ways for this podcast. Do you think local dirt track is finally our way? I know
We tried roller
hold-
derby.
Hold on. I got a local dirt track insider. I got a local dirt track go-to insider. I was nearly this may catch you off guard.
Yeah.
I was nearly part of a local dirt track race team this past year.
Okay. Stop everything. See the whole thing? Disregard it. Disregard.
Yeah.
One, why aren't you? Because that seems like something, and I'm not even saying this is not disparaging at all.
Yeah.
That seems awesome. Like for someone like you, because I'd be too terrified.
I have not ruled it out for 2025.
Okay,
Just waiting to see if the finances line up.
If you are not behind the wheel of some dilapidated, modified mid-90s Buick, okay, with again a spray painted number, and somehow our logo on that puppy.
Yeah. Maybe some like the dinosaur, the Stegosaurus that has like the fins, the spikes that go like down its spine.
Yes.
Like
Like the kids' helmets.
Yeah,
that have
weld something like that to the
Yep.
roof and then down the trunk.
Yep. This has 2 outcomes. And one is that this podcast ends because you now have a career. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
I wasn't I was thinking maybe this podcast ends because my life ends.
well, boy. So there's 3 options.
Okay.
And the first one is that you find, hey, I love this. I want to do this on the weekends and on my free time. I don't have time for this hour a week. And also the studio's now, Car Wrench Village, right? Which I'm guessing that's what you'd call it, Car Wrench Village.
Can I be honest for a second? That's kind of the reason why I didn't get involved. I thought that I would be too into it.
I can
And
see that.
suddenly I leave my family
Well,
because I'm going on the road.
I think they're okay.
I'm going in the local dirt track circuit.
I think we're. This is like when you're playing Mario, and right now you're little Mario, but you're trying to do one of those Marios when he has wings, and you're really jumping.
Oh yeah,
you're really taking a leap on.
Yeah,
this
but I didn't
one.
get the mushroom yet, so I can't, or the leaf, so I can't quite fly.
So we're talking about spray painting a number on a Steve and Kyle podcast, Buick Regal.
Yeah.
And you're talking about leaving your family to go tour the country with the other dirt track goons.
Well, I mean, some of those purses are in excess of $500.
Okay, could you see Steven? Could you see No PH and Steven touring the country with the other dirt track goons? Mm-hmm. So that's option one.
Yeah. What's option two?
Option two is that we all come out to support Steve on his initial endeavor, and you realize that as you get on the track with the other 19-year-olds who just have perpetual dirt in their pores.
Yeah.
Right? So every bit of their skin that's not been covered by their tank top is shaded dirt. And I'm not even saying shaded brown. No. Shaded dirt.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Okay? And I'm talking teeth, eyelids, hair. Every time they walk by with if they take too hard of a step, you see a little poof come out of their hair. You get on the track with them, and you get 1/4 of one lap in, and you become terrified.
I realize
and you're going about 30 on the inside line just to get to the end.
You know something? I don't even care about my performance on the track. I just want to be able to climb out the window of a car, take off the top part of my fire suit, but keep the bottom part on, and just walk around tank top blazing with the rest of it kind of tied around my waist.
Marlboro on the tank.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're going to pull one out of the back pocket that's been sit on your butt cheek while you've been riding around the Buick Regal.
I want to be signing autographs for little kids
who have no idea what fame is.
No.
Right? Because they'd walk by a celebrity that actually matters and they'd be like, no. That guy who smells and looks like dirt. Who just climbed out of the window of a 1996 Buick Regal with a spray-painted green number on the door. That's the celebrity.
That's my hero. Okay.
And then option 3 is that you die. But...
All right.
So, much like... here's what I'll say. This isn't even the New Year's resolution episode because this is too big of a shot to take. If you... somehow get on a track in the year 2025, I will also do what I've been thinking about for years and talked about in this podcast for years, and I will get up and do a set at some open mic night.
Now we're talking.
Okay, I'm going to need someone to get me hooked up on whatever the anti-anxiety meds that you might pop.
There's so many of them.
Doesn't matter. Send me a litany. Okay, I might try one of each leading up to see which one works, because that's all I'll need. I think that's a fair trade, but I want to see both just as equally. I want to be at that dirt track and see the fear in your eyes as you come around the track for the first time, as you realize these 19-year-olds don't care about dying today. Okay?
Yeah.
And as you're going 35 with your knob on the steering wheel for some reason.
Sure, yeah, I got a suicide knob. Okay.
And you realize.
So I got my right arm on the headrest of the passenger seat.
Yes.
I got my left hand on the suicide knob. I'm just cruising around turn 3. Maybe waving to the little kids in the front row as I come around that fourth turn.
Yep. And you're waving at them because they've been waiting for you to get off the track for the last 12 minutes.
They think I'm a pace car.
Because the race has been over.
Why is the pace car still out there?
It's much like, was it Cool Runnings? Where the bobsled
John
tips over and they carry it over to the... They carry it over. That's you. But instead of like the emotional, everybody cheering, everybody's pissed at you because they want the next race to start.
Because I dumped oil on the track. And now they got to bring out the dirt scraping oil machine.
Yeah. So then you go, no worries, I got it. And you just start shaking your coat. Because again, you're just filled with dirt at this point. Yeah. I need to know, obviously outside of your interest in automobiles and whatever, one, how does this come up? 2, how far did it get this year? Before and 3, personally, why the hell is this the first I'm hearing of it?
This came up because I went to there was like a local fair. Yeah. And a buddy of mine said, hey, I'm taking my daughter over to the fair tonight. Do you want to go? And I was like, oh, cool. So
and if you're talking, by the way, fair track. Mm-hmm. That's different than a dirt track that I'm kind of thinking of.
This is at a place that has a permanent track.
Yes, okay.
So we went over there. Yeah, we went on some of the rides, played a couple carnival games, and there was a demo derby going on later that night. So I was like, heck yeah, let's go over to it.
That's a different animal.
So we went over to the demo derby, watched it, and so the whole time me and my buddy are joking around. We're like, oh man, it would be so much fun to do this. Because I've been lucky enough to participate in a few of those, crash 'em up demo derbies. And we started looking it up, and there's a whole set of rules and everything, and how you have to have your car prepared.
Oh, okay. Because
there is some safety involved.
That seems a little bit more. Well, no, I shouldn't say it. It's not like you crave violence, so it's not like you want. Right. I was about to say that seems more up your alley, but it really doesn't, because UP Chris has done these.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem fun to me because I'd be so worried about taking a shot from another car that I'm not expecting, right?
But again, that's where the 3D printed Hans device comes in.
The multi-part 3D printed Hans device is going to save our necks.
Yeah, we're going to be fine. Yes. Doctor recommended.
Yes.
So we started looking it up, and it's like, oh, okay, well, you got to have this kind of car. It's got to be front wheel drive or whatever. It's got to have this. You got to prep it in a certain way. And he's like, yeah, actually, I got a buddy who does this from time to time at work. And then like a week later, or a couple days later, he starts sending me Facebook Marketplace listings for cars. And he's like, oh, this would be a perfect one. Look at this.
That person that just like you think about
it. He knows how my brain works.
Yeah. And it's something that you probably think about. It's mentioned. Maybe think about it a few other times. But odds are, unless there's a push,
I'm not gonna take the initiative.
Right. Much like the first, in my head, the first incarnation of Second Chance Jeeps, which was with you and Seinel and Ryan Young, rehabbing the murder Jeep.
Yeah.
That maybe if it's just you, or if it's just Seinel and Ryan Young thinking about it and saying this would be something that I think would be interesting and we can do and would be fun and maybe profitable. If it's just you, it might go out the other ear. Yeah, and the financial burden, all of this stuff, right? It all factors in. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you have that little Tinkerbell via text message for this one.
Yeah. So I'm getting message after message. Oh, this would be a good one. This would be a good one. This would be a good one. And I guess I didn't.
2:30 in the morning getting.
I didn't realize how serious he was, because shortly thereafter he said, "Hey, me and my buddy just bought this car. We're going to be working on it." And it was just during a time when I was kind of busy. I think we were away for a couple of days, and so I missed the boat on it. I totally missed the boat. But if I had contributed my, $150 and 8 hours of labor
for this big rig,
I would have been part of this race team. And they ended up taking it to a couple of different derbies towards the end of the summer. And I think they did pretty well. But I think 2025 might be the year that I get on the circuit.
Okay. First of all, stop talking about your financial investment.
Yeah.
Because now...
It's our financial investment?
It's our financial investment, Steve.
How much we got in the coffers?
Well, thanks to our good friend Lance.
From LGS
Electric out of Ilion, New York. Again, if you're stopping by those caverns we talked about, or
need electrical work done
that one regional
at your house,
that one regional Cessna airport you found, if you're in the area and you need your electrical done, let's say your light won't turn on. Okay?
Which would, I'm not sure if he has like a storefront or you just walk in and say, hello, follow me to my house.
Also true.
My switches aren't working.
We're going to try to get Lance on the horn here, by the way, so I don't want to talk about Lance anymore. No offense, Lance. No. But thanks to Lance, the coffers are still pretty plentiful.
Yeah.
Okay? So you reach out to these other dirt folk.
My dirt buddies.
In a charming way, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, dirt buds. Right? That's how you maybe
How much to slap a logo on the hood?
No. I want logo. I want control.
Okay.
So I want financial power over these dirt folk. And it's starting to sound like a movie from the 40s where I'm an oil baron.
Right.
But obviously we're slapping our logo on one of these things. Okay. And two, I want to be in the board meetings.
Yeah.
Okay, with you and I making decisions on this future demolition derby race car team's future.
Yeah, that's Bored, to steal a line from Norm Macdonald.
That's right.
I just want to be able to. I have a dream of crossing the finish line, checkered flag waving, me pulling over, again, climbing out the window, taking the top half of the fire suit off, lighting up a Marlboro Red, and when the commentator comes over to interview me after the race, I can just say, I'm real happy the Steve and Kyle podcast Pontiac was driving real good today. Big thanks to my team, keeping this thing on four wheels. And again, SteveandKyle.com for all that merch if you want to pick it up. But we're looking forward to next week in Topeka.
That's right. We're driving up to. We're losing every dollar we have to commute to Topeka, Kansas.
Yeah,
and then to stay in the Motel 6. That's 10 miles outside of Topeka.
Right.
Because Topeka rates are.
Topeka rates are through the roof.
You do not pay Topeka rates when you're traveling, and I'll post that on the poll. But we got to get our names out there.
Exactly. I mean,
oh man,
I'm thinking a hood sponsorship, and since I'm technically part owner of the team, I can set the rates for what the sponsorships cost.
And I figure we give them 1 year before we power struggle these other dirt folk out, and then it's just you and I, and me not knowing anything. So really, it's just you. Yeah. And then I show up to the board meetings, and that's when we make decisions that don't matter.
You're the corporate brass.
Obviously, yes. I am the. What is the from It's a Wonderful Life? I always forget the old man's name. That's me. You're the Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Right? You're just the guy at the local, trying to get by, trying to inspire the town. And
Is it Cratchit? Ratchet? Am I getting my movies mixed up?
I have it open right in here. So you're George Bailey, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Potter. Old Man Potter. That's right. Henry Potter. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm Potter. You're Bailey. And you're trying to inspire the folk, and I'm trying to force you to shut down. Right? For a more modern reference, not from the 1940s. Let me bring it all the way up to the 80s. I'm the owner of the Cleveland Indians in Major League.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to shut everybody down.
Right, yeah, because you want to move the team to Miami.
That's right.
Where you get a new stadium.
Yes. I love this for you. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. I love this for us.
That's right. That's right.
This is big news.
I feel like we have a lot of stuff happening right now.
Some would say too much.
Some are saying.
So as we try to launch Steve's burgeoning dirt career.
The Steve and Kyle podcast burgeoning dirt career. Because look, I'm not going unless you're coming along for the ride.
Oh, and are you going to be offended if I don't show?
I'm not expecting you to show because you're, again, the corporate brass. Right. Because there's got to be a scene where you do show up, but you're wearing like penny loafers.
Yes, and I just spend the whole time looking at the bottom of my shoes.
Yeah, and like wiping them off because the car pukes oil all over them.
Yeah, and you're going to come up and just wipe that, burning hot oil off your forehead.
Because the scene is going to involve you with a bunch of papers that I need to sign because you're trying to shoehorn yourself in there to get a little bit better compensation, or you're trying to trick me because you want to go with the big corporate sponsor. But it turns out that the big corporate sponsor is actually like your brother-in-law or something, and he's a bit of a shifty character.
That's right.
And I have to show you that this is a grassroots effort. We don't need Corporation A Incorporated to be successful.
We've spent the entire season going back and forth because you're just so happy with our local sponsors, and I'm trying to get you to like let Hawk Tua coin slap the logo on our hood.
I mean, it's kind of like cars, I'm happy. I'm happy with Rusty's.
Sure.
But you're trying to get me to sign with, was it DynaCorp or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for the first race where we see, obviously the whole family's transformed. So, Steve, you hop out of that car, hop out of the rig, unlatch the top half of that fire suit to unveil the Marlboro Red.
Light up the Marlboro.
Actually, no, you're definitely wearing a Dale Earnhardt tank.
Yeah.
And then you light up the Marlboro Red.
I hold up 3 for Dale.
Yep.
Of course.
Every lap. Not just lap 3, or when 3 laps are
Arms
remaining.
out the window.
The whole time. And then that walks over. She's now just wearing overalls.
Uh-huh.
Crocs.
Yeah, she's got a kid who's breastfeeding.
Yep. And that's why the overalls are there. It's just easy access.
Boy, what a life.
Comes over, and you guys don't kiss, but what you do is you touch cigarette tips.
Oh, so I can light hers.
Yeah, and she says, "Good race, honey."
Mm-hmm. And then I say, "Get out of the pits," and slap her on the ass. Oh, man. This is my future. And by the way, if you think that we are mocking the race car lifestyle, just know this. We are. Kyle, it's been a big, big week here on the podcast.
Speaking of in over our heads.
Speaking of in over our heads, which I think is a perfect transition.
Oh, man.
Last week we told you the tale about how we've been talking for a couple of weeks, probably pretty seriously, about getting a 3D printer, even though admittedly we have no use for it. We have no knowledge on how 3D printers work. I mean, I have a very, very basic understanding of you feed it some filament and then it prints things in 3 dimensions.
And I got to tell you, already that you're a step ahead of me.
Mm-hmm. So we've been talking about it. We had some money built up in the coffers because 2024 has been very fruitful for this podcast. There's been times in this year where we've had low 3 digits in the coffers.
Honestly, to the point where now we're being hounded by Uncle Sam, and we're gonna have to make some calls.
That is true. 65% of that money is inaccessible at the time because we've not filled out the proper tax paperwork.
That's right. Turns out we are still not a business. And there's no proper way for us to write off the monumental losses that we have had on this podcast. But we told the tale of this all coming to fruition. We were going to empty the coffers and probably a little additional from our own personal coffers to fund the dumbest venture that we've decided to do. And again, I say this as half of a podcast who flew to Boston for 12 hours, who drove to Van Wert, Ohio to see a billboard of their own faces, who put on a karaoke night. Like we got
to bring that back again. By the way, we did some karaoke last night.
That's why
had a blast.
Got a message from Chris Pruitt this week.
Okay,
that they're organizing one for the night before your. Are you guys doing something with your other job?
Yep, side gig. Year? Yeah, so probably April 25th.
That's what he had said, the Friday before.
Good.
And I said, Steve and I, with this much notice, there's 0 chance we'll miss it.
Maybe. Oh, boy. I'm going to throw something out there.
Okay.
Maybe for everybody that RSVPs and actually shows up, they get a 3D printed trinket.
Guaranteed. We will have, and I'll say this, a variety. Most of them may not work.
Yeah. You want little plastic boat?
Yeah.
No problem. You want duck? Done.
Yeah. If you like fidget items, you are going to be in luck when you come to Steve and Kyle Podcast Karaoke Night 2025. Pen that in for the final Friday in April.
Yeah, we'll have to create a Facebook event for that.
Boy, let's let Chris Pruitt do it. That's less work for us.
Yeah, but then it doesn't show up on our page. And
that's
know
true.
About it.
Yeah. Chris, can you do all that for us?
We'll give you the login.
Yeah, we'll just log in. Yeah. At this point, we're giving out everything. We're moving to cruise control now as we enter our second careers.
Yeah.
As printersmen.
Yeah.
So we got this thing, and
this thing showed up on I think Tuesday.
Can I tell you what shocked me though?
What?
That I didn't walk in this morning with a bundle of 3D printed items everywhere around your house.
Not for lack of trying.
Okay.
But I got the thing on Tuesday. So, we should probably go back a little bit. Listener Lance, he said, I want to be your 3D printer sponsor for some reason.
Again, LGS Electric out of Ilion, New York.
He proceeded to order us a very, very, very nice 3D printer. Now, when it comes to beginning printers, this one is at the top of every list I've looked at, and it's not first and then you got one right under it. It is first and then a mile to second place. So he placed this order. It was a handshake deal.
Yeah.
5 days later, a printer showed up on my front porch. And I walked outside and I said, that's big. Don't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of... It's a reality now, so we have to really figure out what the heck to do. Mm-hmm. And it turns out, because what's the first thing you do in 2024 when you're like undertaking a new hobby or a new adventure? I joined a couple Facebook groups.
Perfect. You did so much more than I've done.
And I think that I might be the most looked down upon person without even having posted.
Oh, I was going to ask if you've posted yet.
Because I look through these and I don't recognize most of the words. We're talking under extrusion, infill.
I know infill. I know what that means.
Hot end. There's. It might as well be a porno movie. Okay, yep. Because I have no idea what's going on when I'm reading a lot of these posts and questions and items and reading into the minutia of how these things work.
Yeah.
And I don't think you and I need to know the minutia.
Nah.
Because a lot of these designs are free. We just need to figure out what's the ticket, what's the charm now that this thing is here, and it hasn't been used yet. We're gonna break that seal here, I believe, when we're done recording.
That's the plan.
What's the ticket that brings you and I to wealth and fame beyond our wildest dreams?
I don't know.
I don't know if there is one actually.
No. Because we're late to the party.
Yes.
We're late to the 3D printing party. Everyone's been on board for years at this point. But I set that thing up. It took me about an hour. Got it all set up. I can say it seems very well made. It seems like a sturdy unit. But we don't have any idea what to do with it. Because on Tuesday I set it up. I figured, maybe it'll come with like some of the filament and we can do like a little test print or something.
Yes.
That was kind of the case. I think I probably could have if we wanted to. But I quickly realized, we need filament. And now being, a week and a half before Christmas, shipping times are a little slow these days. So you can't just go onto Amazon and get the thing next day. So it took another 3 or 4 days to get some filament to feed into the printer. Mm-hmm. And again,
which again, that's all something I didn't know about 1 week ago.
Yeah, but we're at that spot right now where we have a couple spools of filament and we're ready to go. We just don't really know what to do.
Do we have a 3D printer person? Because, boy, I already feel like we're letting Lance down.
We haven't sent him his LGS Electric marital aid for the week.
Sorry, still got to get one of those. We'll find it. I'm not worried about that. That's on the way. We just got to figure out, extrusion and infill and color and everything. But that'll be on the way shortly.
Sure.
But we really need to hone in. Is this thing going to be? You read people who use these, and mine's been running around the clock for 6 weeks. I've been printing, A through Z of these different items and
little
whatever.
Trinkets that they sell on Etsy or something.
Yeah, and I don't think that's us. So are we already the most boring 3D printersmen in the world?
Well, considering it hasn't done one thing except for like calibrate.
How many people get something like this? Which if you're a kid, this is the equivalent of getting like a PlayStation 5, right? If you don't have one. Or like the whatever newest video game would be, VR, right? That's the equivalent for us as adults, right? This is a whole new world of building things, creating things that we want. And instead, it's been sitting in Steve's basement for 4 days.
I know. And I've gone down there every day that it's been set up. And I've just gone into the room, looked at it.
Made sure it's still there.
Made sure it's still there. It's still, it hasn't fallen off the counter yet.
I find myself looking at these communities that have the files to print that they upload. A lot of them free.
Most of them are free. Yeah.
And that looks neat. That looks neat. And then I need that healthy dose of reality where you're like, hey, why don't we just stick with the gear from my Roomba at the start?
I think Roomba gear is going to be maybe not first, but it's going to be in the top 5
Right.
of prints.
So everybody else is making cool, like, analog clocks,
No.
different types of, fun, useful things. And we were in the printer room. We were in BAM basement here on our way in. And we had our filament, which, again, big spools. Like, if you're struggling to figure out it's spools of wire.
Yeah, it looks like wire.
That's it. Sitting in, like, an old wooden thing that you had. And I said, hey, why don't we print a shim because this is uneven? That's the sad level we're at about not knowing what to do and how to make this as fun as it should be.
I could turn around, go to the cabinet behind me, and get an actual wood shim.
Yeah.
But no. I want to spend roughly 6 hours designing, importing, programming, and printing.
I spent last night, I actually said out loud, as I picked up after Reed and I, my 6-year-old had we had a wrestling match, which we do a couple times a week, 3 5-minute rounds, in case you're wondering. And then referee is Katie. She determines who the winner is.
She get down on the mat and do the 1, 2.
Pretty close. She sits on the couch and looks at her phone.
Okay.
And then
does she have a timer running at least so she can keep track?
She sits on the couch and looks at her phone.
So by referee, you mean she's there? She wear a black and white striped shirt?
No. She'll sit on the couch and then she'll look at her phone, and then occasionally Reed will say, "What about nut punches? Are those okay?"
Got it.
And then I, give her the prayer hand and say, "Please say no," because obviously I don't want that to happen.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
But we digress. As one of the ornaments got knocked off the tree last night, I picked it up and I couldn't find the hook, and I said, "Oh boy,
Hey,
I'm going to 3D print a paper clip."
I wonder if that is as simple as the printer turning on and just going, making
2 loops,
like a letter J and then a little.
Before I leave here today,
We're gonna print some.
can you print me one Christmas hook?
No, don't know how.
I'll print you. I'll get you a file.
Okay, still don't know how.
Yeah. No, we're gonna do. This is gonna happen. But I feel like we need to dig into the mind of who made this possible.
Yeah,
And because I don't know why. And our friend Lance. And Lance messaged us this week that he had a few corrections. One, Lance is not married. He's engaged.
Oh,
2,
so there's still time for her to get out.
Yeah. 2, Lance has some corrections regarding our pronunciation of his last name, which was Stoerher. Stoerher.
Yeah, there's an unnecessary H in there.
Yeah.
I think it can just be eliminated.
And his town, which, as we know, is the lovely Ilion, New York, with that regional airport nearby, those caverns that somebody mentioned.
Yeah.
Lot to look at. So I'd like to chat with Lance about what made him do this.
Okay.
And I also want to know, like, he was very vocal. Like, it was like one of the Band-Aid ripoff moments that his fiance is not a fan of this program.
All right. So we'll see if we can get Lance on the LGS Electric phone line because that's.
Has it been 3D printed?
I feel like he deserves that, the naming rights. So let's see. Come on, Lance. Hello?
Hello?
Lance, are you there?
I can hear you.
Okay. First of all, first matter of business. By the way, Steve and Kyle podcast here. I'm Steve.
This is Kyle.
Okay.
Oh, no introduction needed. I know who you are.
Proper pronunciation of your last name. Is it Stoerher?
Let me give it one more try.
Yeah.
Stoerher.
Stoerher.
It's Store-er. The H is silent.
Oh, that's so dumb.
Okay.
No offense.
Now we've talked
Yeah,
about the
no.
silent H problem before.
Yeah.
Big issue. What are the chances you can get that eliminated?
Well, it's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
But it's really not, though. It's just kind of a delete,
Yeah.
dink,
Well,
one backspace.
Yeah. You have an easy out coming up, Lance.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're engaged. And you thought about taking your fiance's last name to get rid of that silent
That's
H.
a good idea. Does she have a good last name?
It's Lennon, and that's what we named our daughter. So,
So,
it'd be
Oh,
Lennon,
so it would be
Lennon.
Lennon. You don't want
but
that.
you'd be Lance
Yeah.
Lennon.
Lance.
That's a good name.
That's a good name.
Lance Lennon?
That is.
LGL
I had to
Electric.
change my business name.
That's all right. That's simple. We've seen your Facebook page.
Yeah. You haven't kept up on it in like 4 years. One swap, maybe we spark that creativity.
It's so much work. I don't want people calling me.
Oh, okay. All right. So wait a minute. You have too much work.
This is bad business.
Why
shouldn't be saying that?
Why are you just willingly giving money to a seldom listened to podcast for like advertising rights or whatever you want? What are you doing, man?
Oh, I pretty much spent $500 to get this phone call.
Boy, I have to tell you, return on investment wise, this has to be the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
Like there is not much that's worth less than $500 than this few minute phone conversation that you're having with us, because we need to deduce what in fact mattered, what went wrong with you and what made you do this. Lance, you were very vocal that your fiance, not wife, we corrected that, by the way, you were not married, that she not only is, I would say a lot, you said it in a more hurtful way, that she's not a fan. You said she hates the podcast, like really heavily dislikes it.
Oh, yeah. I try to sneak it in, put you guys next to the queue after a song, and she instantly changes it.
What is it about this podcast? Is it something in particular? Because my wife stopped listening because we chewed into the microphone. Mm-hmm. Kyle's wife stopped listening because
I think we're just uninteresting.
Standard across the board hatred for us. What is it with your wife?
She can't stand all of your digressions.
Oh, no, you know what?
Wait a minute.
I can't blame her for that. Although she's wrong.
That's the backbone of this podcast.
Yeah, honestly, that's how we've made it this far.
I said that's the best part.
Hey, maybe
you don't
she'd
even remember where they started.
I know. Maybe she'd have more fun if she tried to track. Can you convince her? Say, okay, and even if you need to lie, who cares?
No.
You just need to say, listen to this one episode with me, and so they understand. Have her have a notepad and do like one of those flow charts on how our conversation and how our episodes go, because I don't want to call her a liar because you're going to get married to her, but I don't think she's that spot on. Like just today, we've been a pretty straight narrow line about our direction, and I think she's wrong, Lance.
I mean, I like it.
What?
You never know where you're going to end up.
What's the topic? Because this is where we run into a lot. A lot of people like true crime. A lot of people like the celebrity interviews. What is the thing that your fiance listens to podcast-wise or media-wise and when she's writing?
Yeah.
What is an episode Steve and I could do that would be like, hey, Steve and Kyle did a whole episode on this topic. Give it a shot.
Oh, yeah. How could we hook her?
Yeah.
No. Hook. How could we hook her? Not. I promise I am not calling your fiance in any way a sex worker.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
If she is, I don't know the legalities in your neck of the woods.
That's right.
I apologize. Boy, let's just back right up. How
could
we get her
from LGS Electric?
How could we get her interested in the podcast?
Yeah.
If you talked about Taylor Swift and Christmas the whole time,
okay, done. Next episode.
Can you get her to listen next week, where Steve and I, the staff gift exchanges next week? And obviously, you must make her listen to the annual Cinco de Mayo Christmas light episode that we do every year. You know what? Next week, we'll get some Taylor Swift.
That's my birthday.
Oh, beautiful. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We'll get Taylor Swift
Cinco de Mayo.
And Excessive Christmas next week. If you can convince her, or don't even convince her, just be like, hey, you're riding in my car, my radio, broad.
Yeah.
And pop it on and say, we're going to give these two fellas an honest to goodness chance to sway you back to the good side.
I will try and let you know how it ends up.
Oh, I can't wait.
My testicles, they ride in her purse.
Okay.
When we get in that car.
Well, this is where we're at now, though. Steve and Kyle, we are begging individuals to gain our listenership by one at a time. So if you can't get your fiance, Lance, do you have somebody else that you could force to listen to? Maybe you pop it on a big Bluetooth when you're on the job at some residential site, right? Make those poor souls who live there listen.
What was that?
I can do that. I'll blast you on speaker Monday.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Appreciate the
steal her
support.
phone and at least download the podcast.
Yeah. I don't think I hate to be rude. I just don't think you've done your part.
Yeah, I try.
So, Lance, what you make a financial decision like this in sending us a 3D printer out of the goodness of your heart and in the name of LGS Electric, who is too busy to take your work, if you're listening. How does that conversation go if you're not married? Because Steve and I have talked about the dollar amount where you would have to talk to your significant other about making a purchase. And I think Steve and I would definitely agree that this purchase would be over that threshold.
Oh, yeah, very much.
It doesn't seem like it was for you. So how does that conversation go when you pass along to your fiance, hey, I'm spending this much money on this podcast that you truly despise?
It's pretty simple. She doesn't know.
Oh, no. Would you be willing to right now this morning, would you be willing to give her the phone and we can break the news?
I would, but this is a rare occasion where she's gone, my son's gone, and my daughter's gone. I'm home alone right now.
Oh, wow. Kevin,
That's like
you're
a huge
McAllister in
party.
it.
Okay.
Oh, it's so nice.
I would like to, if you could, just audio record. Maybe today, whenever it is you decide to rip that Band-Aid off, just have your phone set on the couch next to you, and she's in the room. I want you to break that news, and I want to hear how that goes, unless it's, you guys breaking up, then please leave us out of it.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything to do with it. And send that along to us, because I'm curious how this goes. Are you nervous about that?
Oh, yeah. She'd be real upset.
Okay. Okay. So you made a terrible decision here. I think it's okay that we can tell you that now because we have the printer in hand and there's nothing you can do about it at this point. So we can tell you that this was a terrible decision financially and personally.
No, I just figured the next 5 jobs, those customers are going to get screwed, and I'm going to add $100.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean you didn't need the upgraded matte color outlet covers? I thought you wanted those for $49.95 a piece.
Lance,
I'll just flip it in there somewhere.
Lance, before we let you go, I need to ask, because it's been a pretty electrifying year here at the Steve House. What would the 200 amp service upgrade,
That's right,
and then the running electrical out to the shop. Have you enjoyed that bit of our conversation? And does it sound like I have any idea what I'm talking about?
You definitely know more than most people.
Okay.
I think you're very dumb for not putting the wire and conduit to the shop.
Okay.
Why am I?
Also,
Why am I
our wedding
dumb?
is coming up next year. I have an Airbnb I own above my apartment, and I got the green light to invite Steve and Kyle.
What?
With
Are
a
you
free
serious?
room and board.
Okay, so listen, Lance, this is a total digression, so apologies to your fiance. Because we've had this discussion as well, Steve and I, that we would love to attend a listener's wedding, but we have demands.
Yeah.
And you've already met one of them, okay, with the free room and board. So the second one is, can we, Steve and Kyle, as the Steve and Kyle podcast, wearing Steve and Kyle podcast merch, MC your wedding reception?
Yes.
Yes!
Oh boy, that is a big mistake.
That is 2025, the Steve and Kyle podcast visit to Ilion, New York.
Yeah.
So,
It's really in, too.
Ilion, New York.
Not Ilion.
Ilion, New York. Just like we said.
I don't want to get too far past before we let you go. You directly calling Steve stupid. Can you clarify what he did incorrectly? Because you and I, Lance, you and I know electric. So we're trying to talk down to this ogre, this electric ogre.
Yeah, what's wrong with conduit? Huh? What's wrong with conduit?
Oh, did you run conduit all the way to the warehouse?
No, I did direct bury.
Underground?
Direct bury.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, in Michigan, it's just like New York. You get some frost. When the frost moves the ground, it moves rocks in the ground. And all it takes is for one rock to pinch the wire.
You know, Lance, I'm not
up.
really worried about that.
Do we need to go upstairs and dig up that?
I'm not going to dig that up. Again, it's 2224 quadruplex aluminum, of course. I had to size it up a bit.
Oh, I remember.
Because it's aluminum. But so what you're saying is you got a seal of approval, and I did it right. Thank you very much, Lance.
Sounds like it.
From LGS Electric, our 3D printer sponsor on the LGS Electric phone line. Compliments of LGS Electric.
That's right. Two questions for you, Lance, before we go. One, is there a sadder electrical brag that you've heard as an electrician? Because for me, none of it makes sense. Than Steve's labeled, reconfigured, remanufactured breaker box. Is that a good brag or an embarrassing brag as an electrician?
I hate to say it, but that is amazing.
Yes!
Oh, wow. That is unexpected.
Oh.
So me tucking in a copy of that blueprint into Steve's coffin when he's dead because he wants to be buried with something that his life's work.
Something that means something to me.
Is an acceptable reaction because you think it's awesome too.
I've never seen anything like it in a customer's house.
I mean, it's going to save you a ton of time if you go into a house and the man of the house comes out and says, "Oh, you want to shut off the northwest light switch in the living room?"
That's right.
Here you go. That's breaker number 7.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah, hours of work saved for any electrician working on your house.
And lastly, is there anything that you think we could use this beautiful LGS Electric sponsored Bamboo Lab 3D printer to make for your lovely fiance and family that might start to turn the tides in our favor before the wedding, where she ignores us the entire time because this has been her worst experience?
Yeah, she into trinkets of any kind?
Yeah, trinkets, anything 3D printed.
I'm waiting for that marital aid.
Right. We got to find the file, and we're going to make the LGS Electric marital aid. But is there, if you think of anything, we're taking recommendations for the Lance household, the LGS Electric house, to improve the Steve and Kyle standing with your fiance, who again hates us.
How about a pen holder? She's got a bunch of pens I'm looking at scattered around her desk.
Oh, Christ, that's the saddest
like
thing I've ever heard.
Famous
A pen holder
from elementary school.
A Taylor Swift pen holder.
Taylor Swift pen holder.
Either that or a pen holder that looks like a Christmas tree because she loves Christmas.
Okay.
Steve, we got ideas, Lance. Thanks
We
for
got
nothing.
this.
We'll figure this out on our own.
That's going to be... So basically, we're 3D printing a cup.
That's right.
That she can put pens in.
Yep. Boy, Christmas is never going to have been happier in the Lance house.
Yeah.
When she gets a cup.
I can't wait. All right,
Maybe
Lance.
it'll make her feel better when I tell her how much I spent.
Oh, man.
Boy. And again, please record that if possible, unless it ends your relationship and then we had nothing to do with it. But Lance, thank you so much for doing this. This is beyond anything that anybody has ever done podcast related. And honestly, in my personal life, never received a gift quite like this that we still don't know what to do with. Steve and I are overwhelmed and in over our heads. So we can't wait to keep you updated on the journey with all the trinkets and crap we make.
Also, what's the date of the wedding? We gotta make sure we put it on the calendar.
We're going to say October of next year, but we're going to Italy for another wedding.
No.
So it's October 26th.
October 2026.
You got a little
we
time
got
to
plenty.
prepare.
Good news. My schedule
Plenty of
is
time.
my schedule's pretty clear.
If Steve and I are still talking at that point, which again, you never know how this podcast is going to go. If we're still communicating, count us in as the official MCs of the LGS Electric Wedding in Ilion, New York, coming in October 2026. Thank you, Lance.
You guys have a great day. Thanks.
Talk soon, man.
See you, man.
Oh boy, I gotta tell you, I feel a little bad about this one.
Why?
I didn't realize his fiance had no idea.
Oh,
I thought she just probably. But hey, what do I care?
that's sounds like that's a Lance problem. Not so much a Steve and Kyle problem.
But can we speed this outro music up? We've got crap to
I mean,
print.
it's going to make when we meet her and him at their wedding kind of awkward.
What do you think the odds are that we meet her at the wedding and he hasn't told her that we're the official MCs? Because I'm not giving that job up.
No. I mean, it was offered to us.
I'm talking, we're each doing a couple minutes. Mm-hmm. We're obviously doing banter.
Oh, we're doing a roast.
Oh, no question. The wedding roast.
Look at that old guy. What's up with him? He's basically dead. Boom, roasted.
Hey, you remember weddings, right? That's when you were out at night. It was the Great Depression. Hey, ho!
I get no respect.
Dangerfield dice.
Yeah.
We're going to combine. And then obviously, you know who's coming out, right?
Bobcat.
Bobcat. That's right. Bobcat Dice Dangerfield. Coming to the Lance Wedding, LGS Electric, October 2026.
I can't wait. All right, keep an eye on Steve and Kyle, at Steve and Kyle on all the social medias.
Yes.
Because we're no doubt going to be posting pictures, time-lapse videos of our prints.
That's right.
Because that 3D printer, it's got a built-in camera. So
Yeah.
you can take, you can take videos with it.
I've already been looking at upgraded cameras, too.
Oh, boy.
I don't know why we need that. I just want to upgrade everything. Also, any requests, any trinkets that you think would be cool to have that we would, again, distribute whenever we go out at this karaoke coming up in the spring next year that you think would be cool. Looking for ideas for people who are smarter than us in regards to 3D printers and ideas. Send those along again at Steve and Kyle.
All right, we'll talk to you next week. See ya.